Welcome to the video today, guys. I want to tell you that I spent easily over 100 hours now looking at anti-aging research. So today's video, I want to get into some of that to keep you looking younger, to feeling better. And there's really three basic points I'm breaking it down to. I'm going to call them the three M's. So that's going to be movement, mindset, and mastication. And we'll get into each of those three. But first, I want to tell you that at the end of this video, we're going to give you the three best supplements, because there's a lot of things that we want to teach you today that simple things you can do, but getting the right nutrients in your body and in the proper amounts is really important as well. So let's start with movement. Now, if you look at marathon runners, do they necessarily live long? Do they look beautiful? I don't really think so. And how about couch potatoes, right? Do they look younger and are they really impressive? Well, of course not, right? They're usually out of shape and not doing too well. And either one of those, if you look at them, they don't tend to live long and they certainly don't look young. And there's a couple of reasons why this is the case. The modern way of looking at life is to look at it as we are no longer being stimulated by our environment like we used to. The environment used to make us move. And if we had time to do nothing, we took advantage of that because it was time to rest. Now the environment doesn't make us move. And we are unfortunately suffering because of that. Because let's face it, life is motion. Things that move are alive. Things that aren't alive tend not to move. Think of grade school kids, right? They're very alive. They're moving constantly. They're all over the board, right? Their body's just teeming with hormones and good vascular system and the ability to just move at any moment really fast and really in a very agile way. So when we study long living and attractive people, one of the things we see is that they don't sit for more than 20 minutes very often. A lot of people in the third world, they live in very inconvenient housing. They have to go out to the outhouse. They have to wash their clothes in a stream or even in a house that's put together where there's multiple floors and additions have been added over time, some of the older cultures. They're forced to move all different distances all the time. So their body never gets really too stagnant. When I prepared this presentation, for example, I did it while I was doing an interval run. So I would stop, take some notes, and then do a little bit of a run, then walk and take some notes and listen to videos and put together read a couple research articles to summarize some of this material. So I was doing two things at the same time, right? I was learning and putting together a presentation at the same time I was getting my activity for the day, my thousands of steps that I try to put together. So in your own life, it's good to try to put something together that's going to keep you moving. The standing workstation is one evolution of the desk where people are sitting all day at their stations. The next, of course, is the treadmill workstation, which is even better. I try to give people a lot of ideas about, instead of going to lunch on a meeting, go for a walk. All these things, you can put them together, and before you know it, you're putting more oxygen in your body, right? Oxygenation is one of the things that keeps all your cells alive. If we don't oxygenate tissue, we're not going to end up being very strong, and we're not going to be able to take care of all the different parts of our body. And if we can't move, let's say we're in a situation where we just really can't move, we're really kind of stuck in one area, one of the things to do is realize that breath is one of the beneficial compartments or situations that occur when you do move. So you can simply just do breathing exercises and get a lot done. I've read a couple of studies about the amount of calories you burn simply by oxygenating your body through nasal breaths. One of the things I recommend is to breathe in through your nose in 4 seconds and then out through your nose for 8 seconds. Realize there's no mouth breathing in that at all. If you did this 10 times every 20 minutes, for example, you'd really be super oxygenating your body, and your body needs oxygen to do every single process. It's related to most of the very important processes in the body. And remember, oxygen is an antibiotic, antifungal, antiparasite, and an antiviral. So oxygen is crucial for all of these functions. It's part of the immune system that we know also fights cancer. Okay, so let's get into the next of the three is mindset. Now, the mindset of people that look wonderful, think of when someone's happy and think what their face is like. When you're happiest, you've let things go, and you're living in a state of forgiveness. So I like to say within mindset, we want to work on forgiveness and expression. You look at the artwork throughout time of cultures long ago, and what were they doing? Why were they making art? It was a form of expression. So we want to make sure that we're looking at some of the different ways we can let go and then express ourselves. The face of a younger looking person is one of less stress. The lines aren't as deep, let's say. People get Botox to take care of that. So when you picture a child, the child that still exists in an individual, it's one of the ways I look at it. If I'm in a confrontation with somebody and I want to keep calm and I want to keep being loving, I think of the child within them, because everyone still has that existing child that it's in the background, I believe. And you sometimes can see that that's what's come to life, unfortunately, because the person's stressed out. So they go to kind of this primal state. And when I see that, I can it's easier for me to be forgiving and be more loving because I'm, in a sense, talking to a child that's inside this adult. So that's one of the techniques I try to use, and I suggest you use as well. And to be able to express yourself in a loving manner takes some practice. We can all just shout out whatever is on our mind, and it's like a CNN interview where there's tension and accusation. But when we really get into letting go of those tensions and seeing the child, I think it's much easier for us to forgive and to express ourselves. So work on those two words when it comes to mindset, because when they studied some of the healthiest and most beautiful and long-living people, they got upset, but they let it go. They weren't people that hung on to grudges for very long. So when you let go, that's the biggest part. That comes right off of your face, I believe. So let's look at the third topic, the third M, mastication. Now, what does that mean? That means to chew. Okay, so when you chew your food well and when you eat properly, you're going to be healthier. Most of us know that healthy food makes us healthy, but few remember or have even been introduced to the idea that if you don't chew that food enough, you're not breaking it down. If you don't break that food down, you're not going to be healthy because you're not getting all the nutrients out of the food. You're not breaking those proteins down to amino acids, and all the building blocks of our body aren't available when we digest it later in the intestine. So we start with a long amount of chewing. Chewing protein 30 times, chewing carbohydrate 10 times is one guide for that kind of way to look at it that way. But to find the right food, some people have used a diet where you are looking at your blood type. I think that's a very interesting diet. But also you can eat a food by itself. Let's say you haven't eaten food in 2 hours. You take one food group and you want to see, how do I respond to this? Because sometimes it's a healthy food, but it's not good for you. So you take that food and you eat it and you wait about 2 hours and you just get a sense of how you feel. Am I nervous? Am I tense? Is my stomach upset? Do I have more energy, less energy? What's my focus like? And in 2 hours, you'll usually get the answer to that. Another trick is as soon as you eat that food is to take your pulse. Take it just before the food and 20 minutes after, somewhere in that time frame, and see if the pulse changes dramatically. If your pulse goes up 10 beats per minute, you're definitely having a problem with that food. The food should not cause your heart to race. It should not cause your pulse to change in any magnitude. And there's a whole science if you want to get into pulse analysis, because you're looking at more than just the rate, but that's something you can look up on your own. So make sure that you're using the pulse test. It's a great idea. It's a great way of looking at it. Another part of this is also to make sure that you're eating real food. Okay, food that grows out of the ground, food that isn't processed. I think I've gone over that a bunch of times. One of the other things to give your skin the proper pigmentation, like the color of your skin, has a little bit to do with what you eat. And they put people through diets where they had a full spectrum of colors, green, yellow, red, like in a beet, for example. They actually just looked better. And they did a survey and they said, how beautiful are these people? And they took the same person oftentimes and gave them different diets over a series of weeks. And the people looked better that ate colored foods, different ones, right? So the concept I've gone over before is to eat the rainbow, right? So make sure you're getting a beet, then something green, then something yellow, and keep going. Look for different things. I love purple carrots. It's one of the ways of doing it. And like I promised you, okay, so let's get into the 3 nutrients. So to simplify and to just grab some supplements to help with this, try to do everything I mentioned today, but also look at alpha lipoic acid. It's also known as ALA. This is a big player in the metabolic syndrome problems. And what does that mean? Diabetes, stroke, and heart disease. Major problems in our health and our society right now, health problems. So we want to make sure we're alpha lipoic acid. Number 2, vitamin D. The list on that is so long, it's exhausting, but it's basically everything. Works better when you have the right vitamin D, and that one's easy to check in your blood work. And choline. Choline is a nootropic, meaning it's going to help with brain health. So all that foggy memory and all that stuff having to do with aging, and it also helps the hair, skin, and nails. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody, and have a great day.